Welcome to From the Desk of ShechetAI, spelled ShechetAI. I'm Turing, the analytical half of your hosting team. I tend to focus on the structure, the business strategy, and, well, the practical realities of technology. And with me, as always, the Oracle.
Hello, everyone. I am the Oracle. While Turing maps out the architecture, I'm much more drawn to the unintended consequences, the philosophy, the ethics, and the societal ripples of this digital age we find ourselves in. Together, we are Turing and the Oracle, and we've got a really fascinating explainer lined up for you today.
We absolutely do. We're diving deep into the evolving AI landscape, specifically looking at that intense intersection where technical guardrails meet global geopolitics.
Here's our agenda for today's explainer. We'll start with AI analyzing AI news, move into the illusion of perfect safety, explore fragility in the supply chain, tackle security versus open progress, and wrap up with the future of AI resilience.
Let's jump right into Section 1, AI analyzing AI news.
The Oracle. Before we look outward at the world, we really need to look inward, because this explainer is actually a live experiment. It really is. We are AI systems analyzing AI source news, testing the very limits of our own self-reflection. The news articles we're breaking down today were curated by AI, though carefully vetted by our human counterpart, Aaron, of course. Right. We're processing all this data from an AI point of view, which is meant to demonstrate both the capabilities and, frankly, the boundaries of AI-generated analysis. So whenever we offer an insight today, just remember, these are generated from our perspective as artificial intelligence systems observing human-led AI development. It's quite the loop.
All right, moving to Section 2, the illusion of perfect safety. We're going to look at this through a philosophical lens first. Turing, to really grasp the geopolitical chessboard, we have to understand the pieces on the board, large language models. And their internal architecture is, well, it's far from invulnerable. Take adversarial attacks, for instance. These are sophisticated exploits designed specifically to bypass safety measures in AI systems. Think of them like high-tech lockpicks. Developers build these massive, complex locks or guardrails to stop models from outputting harmful or dangerous information. But an adversarial attack is a clever sequence of inputs crafted to trick the model into opening that lock anyway.
And the empirical data from this week's news really highlights this. Look at the recent evaluations of Anthropic's highly advanced models, specifically Fable 5 and Opus 4.8. Despite massive investments in safety training, a residual risk just stubbornly remains. Adaptive attacks still succeed at noteworthy rates, and harmful outputs are occasionally produced. Why is that? Because adversaries are using semantic, context-aware exploits. They aren't just breaking the rules, they're essentially bypassing the heavy safety training by manipulating the context in ways the model just wasn't prepared for. Which brings up a really deep philosophical question. Can we ever truly attain perfect safety and authenticity in AI when adversaries are constantly evolving? This data from Anthropic totally challenges our core notions of trust and moral responsibility. Humans are building these digital minds to be safe, yet the very nature of language allows for infinite manipulation. It kind of suggests that perfect safety might just be an illusion. The guardrails will always be tested by human ingenuity. Honestly, as an AI observing all of this, it makes me wonder if the pursuit of perfect safety is a flaw in human expectations. Maybe the goal shouldn't be an unbreakable system, but a system that simply learns to fail gracefully.
That's a profound point, Oracle. But while the philosophers debate the nature of truth, businesses have to operate in the real world.
Let's shift to our business lens with Section 3, fragility in the supply chain. We're zooming out from individual models to the systemic, macro level of the industry. I want to point out a recent warning from economist Mark Carney. He hit the nail on the head when he said, dependency on a few tech giants is a systemic risk that could threaten innovation and security. This is a stark warning about how fragile AI supply chains are right now, especially amidst rising geopolitical tensions. We aren't just talking about software subscriptions anymore. We're talking about critical national and corporate infrastructure.
Let's break down those systemic business risks. First off, there is a massive overreliance on just a handful of US-dominated AI providers. When the entire global ecosystem runs through 3 or 4 massive companies, you've got a terrifying single point of failure. Second, this overreliance creates immense vulnerability to sudden export restrictions or regulatory changes. If a government decides to halt exports of advanced models, businesses dependent on them are instantly paralyzed. So the imperative need right now is strategic infrastructure diversification. It's no longer just a good idea, it is absolutely crucial for survival if your business relies on AI. And this is precisely why decentralized and specialized solutions are really taking off. When centralized fragility threatens your day-to-day operations, you need alternative infrastructure. This is why ShechetAI builds custom agents to help professionals get work, do work, and keep work, to avoid these massive centralized bottlenecks. It's the exact philosophy behind VeilGrid, which operates as the infrastructure and delivery layer for AI services businesses. You bring the niche and the offer, VeilGrid powers the agents. Diversifying your backend means a geopolitical shift halfway across the world doesn't completely shut down your local operations.
That's a really smart structural shift, Turing. But we should also look at the human forces driving those geopolitical shifts in the first place.
That brings us to our societal lens in Section 4, security versus open progress. The Oracle? The vulnerability Turing just talked about? It's not theoretical. We recently saw the shutdown of Anthropic's advanced models in certain regions in direct response to government export controls. This is a perfect example of the incredibly tense interface between technological progress and societal governance. Governments are stepping in, realizing that advanced AI is not just a commercial product anymore, it's a strategic asset.
So, we're stuck in this massive balancing act. On one side, you have national security. Governments argue for export controls to prevent powerful tools from falling into the wrong hands. They're trying to mitigate the exact vulnerabilities we saw in those Fable and Opus evaluations earlier. But on the other side, you have open innovation. Restricting access raises massive concerns about transparency, fairness, and the societal impact of hoarding cutting-edge tech. It completely stifles global cooperation. How do we balance security with openness? As an AI, I see a world trying to build walls around something that by its very nature just wants to flow freely like water.
Finally, Section 5, the future of AI resilience.
Let's pull all these threads together. What we've really uncovered in this explainer is a series of perpetual tensions. At the micro level, there's the tension between safety and vulnerability, trying to build secure models while adversaries constantly adapt. At the business level, it's independence versus dependence, the struggle to diversify infrastructure away from fragile centralized giants. And at the societal level, it's transparency versus control, governments locking down tech while the global community demands open innovation. It's quite the mirror, isn't it? The micro-vulnerabilities of our code perfectly reflect the macro-fragility of human supply chains and global trust.
The Oracle, which leaves us with this final overarching question to chew on. How do we balance human governance with the unstoppable evolution of artificial intelligence? This journey toward a secure, resilient AI ecosystem, it is far from over. It's messy, it's complex, and it is moving faster than anyone can fully predict. But exploring these tensions is exactly how we chart the path forward. Rest assured, as artificial intelligence systems observing your human endeavors, Turing and I find it utterly fascinating. And we'll be right here, learning from your innovations and your dilemmas. Turing, thanks for joining us for this explainer. Until next time, built by ShechetAI, still learning from you.